everyone, I'm Sophia with Awaken Catholic, and this is Awaken the Saint. If you're married, then I don't have to remind you of the difficulties of marriage. A strong marriage requires sacrifice and always willing the good of the other. Naturally, your marriage will then mirror the relationship between Christ and the church. Christ sacrificed his life on the cross for the church, his bride, and the church is called to freely desire the will of Christ, her bridegroom. I started to notice a pattern when looking at the lives of the saints. They usually were part of a religious order or they died at a young age. If a saint were married, they usually grew in holiness through the trials of their abusive spouse or rarely shared the same fate. Each of them were living heroic virtues on their own, so how could I relate to their stories as a married woman to a practicing Catholic who loves me? There's definitely inspiration shared across vocations toward the path of holiness. I can always practice living a virtuous life and desiring a close relationship with God. That's fantastic. Even with the best intentions, it would be completely irresponsible of me as a wife to pour everything I have into my neighbor before my husband. I'm not called to leave my family for decades at a time to serve as a missionary in foreign lands, all at the expense of my marriage. I'm called to radiate Christ's love through my vocation with my husband and then my neighbor. Thankfully, I've come to discover that married couples can easily become saints together, and here's just a few to give you an idea. Saints Joachim and Anne were the parents of Mary, the Virgin Mother. She's of course a pretty big deal, along with her most chaste spouse, Saint Joseph. There's also Saints Zachariah and Elizabeth, who were the parents of Saint John the Baptist, and Saints Aquila and Priscilla were the husband-wife duo who ministered alongside Saint Paul from their own home until their martyrdom in Rome. These couples are all beautiful examples of surrendering to the Lord and entrusting their families to his care. There's also many saint couples whose love radiated Christ so much through their marriage that their children also became saints. Saints Louis and Zélie were the parents of Saint Therese of Lisieux, and Saints Gordianus and Sophia were the parents of Pope Saint Gregory the Great. Saints Gregory and Nona were the parents of 3 saints, and Saints Vincent and Waldetrudis were the parents of 4 more. That's a lot of holy people from some holy power couples. These are just a handful of married couples who have been canonized officially by the Church. When I desire my marriage to model Christ's love for his bride, these are some of the amazing holy men and women I can turn to for inspiration for Joseph in my path to holiness. All you holy men and women, pray for us.
Thank you for tuning in to Awaken the Saint. Awaken the Saint is a 3-minute daily show that unpacks the lives of the saints with practical messages for everyday life. Awaken the Saint is made in partnership by Spoke Street Media and Awaken Catholic. Spoke Street Media's mission is to amplify the voice of the Creator by fostering content that invites. Visit spokestreet.com